Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Jam Bets. Divisional playoffs here. We've got Sunday games, two games, AFC and NFC. I am Tike, joined by the fantastic Mama Mia. We'll jump right into the video. We're going to be giving our recap of the Saturday picks. Then we're going to be going over the two games here on Sunday. So, Mama Mia, you want to kick us off with your recap?
Sure. Well, we'll start with the Houston Kansas City game. And, I had an overperformer for, let's see, my overperformer was the Houston defense. They did okay. The only thing they got away from them was Kelsey. I mean, they were winning in almost all the stat categories, but somehow the score ended up 24-13 with them on the wrong end of it for Houston. I also had Nico Collins as my underperformer, and he had a decent showing. They were struggling, but he was kind of the go-to guy there. And for Kansas City, my overperformer was Isaiah Pacheco. I don't know, was he benched or something? Because I really didn't see much of him. Hunt really took over the rushing duties and did a fine job. My underperformer was D. Hopkins. And along with D. Hopkins and Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith, none of them got a pass. None of them had a target. So I was correct on that, but I really thought they'd throw a pass to him at least. But boy, that was just a crazy game. Again, those Chiefs they're wily. They're just, they kind of trap you into thinking, oh, you're in this game. And then somehow at the end, that pass Mahomes threw to the end zone was just phenomenal. It was, right through the coverages as well. He's falling down and he puts it right on the money. There really is no one else like this guy. He's kind of a very lucky guy, I think, too. So, the next game was the Washington-Detroit game, and Tyke and I were so excited for Detroit. Holy cow. Oh, my God. That was really rough. My over was Jaden Daniels, and he did. He had 22 of 31 passes for 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, rushed 16 yards, rushed 16 times for 51 yards. He just doesn't look like a typical rookie at all. Holy cow. Underperformer I had was the Washington defense, because they had only had 7 interceptions in the regular season. They had 4 in this game. They had 4. And one of them was a pick six by Quan Martin. They also had a fumble recovery. One of those interceptions wasn't thrown by our poor Jared Goff, though. Jeremy Chin had a great day, 1 interception, 12 tackles, and then they gave up 31 points. So I don't know. Points wise, they kind of underperformed, but they got, I don't know if they got lucky because Goff was just off or what. And I also had my sleepers. I said Curtis Samuel. He's not on that team. I just realized he's no longer on Washington. But Eckler had a nice day. He had 6 rushes for 47 yards, caught 4 of 4 passes for 41 yards. So, and the guy that we should have picked as the sleeper should have been Diami Brown. He had 6 of 8 for 98 yards. Yeah, and he led the team. Switching over to Detroit, who was favored by 9.5 points in this game. They had an 82% probability to win. That means 18% probability for Washington to win, and they spanked those Lions. They took their teeth out. I don't know. My overperformer was Gibbs, and he had a decent day. 14 rushes, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. Caught 6 of 11 passes for 70 yards. He was doing his job. My underperformer was St. Brown. He caught 8 of 10 for 137 yards, no touchdown. He was active. I thought Tim Patrick might do better. He caught one of four passes for 22 yards, and Boyle had nothing. So I didn't do very good in yesterday's games. I'm hoping for better results today. I think our upset was a major upset in Washington. I don't know. Like, I'm discounting them way too much, obviously. So, what did you think about your results there yesterday, Tyke?
Yeah, playoff football. I mean, it's hard to tell what's happening. If we think there's somebody who's in a good spot, the opposing coaches absolutely know it as well, and we'll try to take that away. So, very minimal amount of games to be trying to find some players here as well. But I'll start off with Houston and Kansas City as well. The stat lines of this game does not look like Kansas City won by, what is it, 9 points. Patrick Mahomes less than 200 passing yards. Chiefs had, I mean, I don't know what they were doing at the end of the game, but they lost a ton of rushing yards those last couple drives. Chiefs, I think we're under 50 total rushing yards when you count all those negative plays in there. Xavier Worthy, -8. Ariza, -18. Patrick Mahomes lost like 12 yards on those weird kneel downs, which covered the spread. Just very odd at the end of that game. A lot of people very upset with that. The Chiefs were -9.5. That safety put them at 9. A lot of people not thrilled with that. If you're a Swiftie, you loved the game. Travis Kelce, 117 total yards when Mahomes only had 177 total yards is crazy to me. If I would have saw this stat line before the game, I would have told you the Chiefs lost. I would not have guessed they would win with the stats that their players put up. So bravo to them. Tough sledding for me on that game. I picked Hollywood Brown as my overperformer. Hollywood Brown had 2 targets, 0 receptions, 0 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 rush attempts. Non-factor in the game. Kareem Hunt was my underperformer. He overperformed. He beat his rushing line. He also scored a touchdown. One of the only 2 touchdowns Kansas City scored. So not great for me on that front. Kansas City won that game by, I guess, Travis Kelce. I mean, looking at it, and the defense played very well. So moving on to Lions versus Commanders. On paper, the Lions should have wiped the floor with the Commanders. I did say that if the Lions don't cover or lose, I thought it would be because their 2 coordinators maybe were not as focused throughout the week as they typically would have been. I don't know if that's truly the reason, but Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator for the Lions, did not have his defense ready. They were not ready. There was a play in the end of the second quarter where Terry McLaurin scored the 50-yard screen play. The Commanders had 3 wide receivers trip set on the one side of the play. Aaron Glenn called a cornerback blitz. The cornerback came off, went right to the line of scrimmage, 2-on-3 situation, very easy to, you don't need to be a mathematician to see you're outnumbered over there. And to not have anyone on his defense have the awareness to audible and get out of that play is really what kind of didn't sit right with me. If you're a defensive coordinator, whoever your captain is over there needs to be able to recognize that as well and get out of that type of play. And that really kind of swung the momentum. Right after that, They scored. Next drive down, Goff threw an interception, I believe, in the end zone, and Commanders never looked back. I don't know if Ben Johnson was necessarily the problem, but he definitely didn't have Goff ready for that game. Goff threw 4 interceptions, 2 of them in the end zone, 2 of them in the red zone. I don't know.
I was hoping. In hindsight, I think they should have said Goff had a concussion when he came out. He came out. They scored a touchdown. They did that razzle dazzle play, and boom, they were back on. Back towards. I mean, you kind of think that, Washington might not have been prepared for another quarterback. Because boy, he had already. This was like 3 picks, or he came back in and he threw the 3rd pick in the first half, right? I mean, I would have said, hey, he's got a concussion. We're going to go with somebody else right now. He just, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, if the other guy would have done any good, but it was, yeah. Yeah, I think that you might be right. Some of the defense did look confused a lot. The Detroit defense, they were looking at each other, tapping each other a lot. They were like something was going on that they weren't prepared. I'll give you that.
And then so my overperformer for the Lions Commanders game, I picked David Montgomery. David Montgomery didn't get very many carries. He had 7 carries, 28 yards. And why? Why give him carries when at one point in that game Gibbs had 92 yards on 9 carries? I wouldn't take him out either. I'd keep handing him the ball. And then my other overperformer also on the Lions was Jamison Williamson. He was the beneficiary of the 61-yard trick play. So Jamison ended with 80 yards and a touchdown. So I hit that one. Thank goodness. All right, then we'll jump into today's games. The first game we've got kicking off today is Rams versus Eagles in Philadelphia. Rams are a 6.5-point underdog. The total is 43.5 points. These teams did just play each other week 13. The Eagles won 37-20. The weather for this game should be a little bit of an impact as well. The wind chill is going to be -20 to -25. Also shows that there's going to be snow in this game. Last time these two teams played each other as well, the Rams did have their 4 big players healthy. So Stafford, Williams, Puka, and Kopp all did play in that Week 13 game as well. So, Mama, what do you have? Who are you eyeing for this first game?
All right, so just a couple injuries. The Rams are missing a defensive lineman, Maruchison, and outside linebacker Troy Reeder. So I know Reeder's kind of big on them. And then on the Eagles, defensive lineman Byron Young is out. So my picks for overperformer in this game are I'm looking for the Rams to get Cooper Kupp involved again. At the last meeting, Kupp had 8 of 11 for 60 yards and 1 touchdown. He seemed to be pretty stable against the Eagles in that last game, and I think he's wily, where Puka's just a machine. So I think Stafford might be looking for Kupp a little bit. My other overperformer on the Eagles side is Jalen Hurts. He's going to have to pass over 150 yards today. That's where DraftKings has his mark anyway. And I think he will score at least 1 touchdown. The last meeting, he rushed 12 times for 39 yards. He had kind of a quiet day because he just has to hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley. That's it. Just let Barkley take it. They Eagles rushed the ball at the last meeting 45 times for 314 yards and 3 touchdowns. That'll pretty much take care of this game. So another overperformer I got is Philadelphia's defense. I think Vic Fangio, who used to be our coordinator here, and I really liked him, and he's moved around, and he's always been successful. I think he has this defense, the Philadelphia defense, playing at a very high level. I think they're going to get a couple of, might even get some picks. It's hard to sack. Well, it's not really hard to sack Stafford. He's kind of stands back there. So they're going to get after him. And I don't see Kyren Williams having a big day. I think they figured they can shut this offense down pretty easily. So I think they're going to have a big day. And then the Rams defense is my underperformer. I don't think they can stop Saquon. I just, prove it. The regular season, they've given up 22 touchdowns, and 9 rushing touchdowns. I just don't see him making it. I do not have an underperformer for Philadelphia. Um, let's say the punter. He's going to sit on the bench a lot. That's about all I got on that game. What do you got for the Rams-Eagles game?
So I wanted to just throw an interesting tidbit out there since you brought up Byron Young. So Byron Young, he's a rookie. He was drafted by the Rams with I think like the 73rd or the 74th draft pick. The Raiders had the 70th draft pick in this previous draft, so 3 or 4 positions right before the Rams. The Raiders drafted Byron Young as well. But the draft pick there were 2 Byron Youngs in this previous draft. One of them was really good. One of them was so-so. The Raiders actually picked the wrong Brian Young. They were both linebackers. The Raiders picked the wrong Brian Young. The Brian Young that the Raiders picked wasn't supposed to be picked to pick 170 something. They picked him 70th overall, and then the Rams, a couple picks later, picked the correct one.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So since you brought that up, I wanted to share that little story there. So the Rams got Jared Verse and Brian Young in this previous draft, 2 outstanding edge rushers that are both rookies. But I wanted to share that. So I'll dive into my picks. I am picking my overperformer. I'm picking Saquon. I'm not going to overcomplicate it here. Their last meeting, week 13, Saquon had 255 rushing yards. Could have broken his personal best record. Coaches came over to him. He said, no, I'm fine. I don't want to play. Let the other guys go out there. Saquon also meets a lot of the criteria that I like to look for when I'm looking at running backs in these types of positions. Saquon's averaging more than 4 yards per carry in man and zone run schemes. Well, the Rams are allowing more than 4 yards per carry in man and zone run schemes. The Rams are also the second worst ranked run defense in the playoffs. Rams are allowing, I believe it's 100 and I don't have it written down, but they're allowing more than 100 running back rushing yards per game. So I'm not going to overcomplicate it here. A little bit of snow, cold weather. I think Saquon gets the ball. And then the Eagles as well. The Eagles haven't been passing the ball very well either. So I think that's more a reason why they're going to rely on Saquon. If they just keep giving them the ball, I think they win. The Eagles' offensive line, I give a pretty big advantage to over the Rams' D-line. The Rams' D-line is good, but they're pass rushers, and they're kind of undersized too. Lane Johnson is significantly larger than Jared Verse. There was a picture going around on the internet. He kind of looked like a child last time they played. He was blocking him, and wasn't even up to his shoulders, and Lane Johnson was just holding him there. So, I don't know, maybe that makes him mad, makes him want to go out and do a little bit more, but Eagles' offensive line is, everyone knows they're amazing. It's a cold game. They're going to run the ball a lot. They had a lot of success last game. So, I'm picking Saquon as my overperformer. As for my underperformer, I'm going to be going back to the well. I'm going to keep picking on him. Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp has really kind of stalled out this year. He hasn't had a good year, especially back half of the year since Nakua's came back. The Eagles run a couple different defenses. They are one of the few defenses that run a cover 4 at a pretty high rate. But Cooper Kupp will be seeing cover 1 defense just shy of 23% of the time. Cooper Kupp has an abysmal 1.14 yards per route ran against cover 1. Cover 1's a man defense. Cooper Kupp's, maybe he's lost a step. He used to do those zig routes to the sideline. He's not getting them this year. Cover 3, he'll see it about 30% of the time. He's a respectable 2.5 yards per route ran against cover 3. And then cover 4, which Cooper Kupp and the Rams will see about 20% of the time. Cooper Kupp's yards per route ran is only a 1.2. So on paper, it doesn't look like it's going to be good for Kupp. It's going to be cold. It's supposed to snow during the game. I think Stafford will be fine with that. But I just don't see Cooper Kupp having a big game here. So he'll be my underperformer. All right, Mama, we can move on to the next game. We've got the Ravens versus the Bills. Who are you looking at?
Oh my God, this is the Battle Royale. Woo! This is going to be the best game for the rest of the season. It's the Buffalo is got a 49% chance of winning, which means Baltimore has a 51% chance of winning. And if you listened to me earlier, Washington had an 18% chance of winning. So I think Buffalo's going to win this game. I'm going to go out on a limb, even though they got kind of smoked last time they played. It was week 4, and Baltimore won at home 35-10. Wasn't a whole lot of good things going on for Buffalo. I don't know what the deal was. I'm hoping it was just an off game. It happens. So last time Lamar passed 18 times, completed 13 of them, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns. Henry rushed 24 times, 199 yards and 1 touchdown, caught 3 of 3 for 10 yards and a touchdown. He was on fire. So I'm really not going out on a limb here. I'm going to pick Henry as my overperformer. I think no one has figured out how to stop him either. Unless, Sean McDermott's supposed to be a pretty smart defensive guy. So this might be his chance to prove it, right? And stop Henry. But I don't think so. And my overperformer on Buffalo, since I'm saying they're going to win the game, they're going to win the game. They're not just going to cover the spread. They're going to win the game. Okay. I think that Josh Allen has to have the game of his life here. He just he's been playing really well this season. They are at home. That crowd is, the Bills Mafia, man. They're going to show up. They're going to show up. And we need it. We need a receiver. We need somebody. Maybe it's Keenan Coleman. Maybe it's Kincaid. It's got to be somebody. Shakir, catch the dang ball. Come on now. Underperformers. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna take both of Baltimore's tight ends, Likely and Andrews. They had 3 targets in the last game, and I think that it's just going to be the run Henry run show, which makes my other underperformer, Buffalo's defense, the underperformer, because I don't know that they can stop both Henry and Lamar, right? I mean, that's a tall order, but if they can get off the field, maybe stay off the field. Maybe James Cook might be the winner of this game. He might be able to pull some great things out. But they didn't have much of a rushing game last time they met either. They rushed. Buffalo rushed. Let's see. Buffalo rushed 23 times for 81 yards, 1 touchdown. Time of possession was close. Third downs, Buffalo had 3 of 13. Got to do way better than that. And Baltimore had 5 of 9. So nobody was really running away with this game, even though the score is a little bit lopsided. You had Henry running all over the place. Lamar also had a rushing touchdown. And then, the Ravens just dominated him last time. So I think Bills have something to prove here. And they have been hungry and on the cusp of winning, as Baltimore has for a couple of years now. So this game is just going to be, whoever has the ball last maybe is who wins this game. I don't see it being a blowout. Obviously, Vegas doesn't either with the 1.5 point spread. I do have to say, since Baltimore spanked them pretty good last time, and they did, I could see why Buffalo is not a home favorite. But on any given Sunday, that's why they play the game. Go Bills. What do you got, Tike?
So I will be going the opposite way. I'm going to be taking the Ravens to win. There's just some interesting things around it which really kind of appeal to me for the Ravens. So the Ravens are currently on a every 12 years winning the Super Bowl trajectory. The Ravens won the Super Bowl in 2000, then they won the Super Bowl again in 2012. So they, by that metric, they would be on for 2024. The other thing that also coincides with that is Trent Dilfer was 28 years old in 2000 when the Ravens won the Super Bowl. Joe Flacco was 28 years old when the Ravens won the Super Bowl in 2012. Lamar Jackson is 28 years old in 2024 on the way to the Super Bowl. So I'm going to be going with the Ravens because I really like that trend. That's not the main reason, but I like that reason. I wanted to
That's
share
pretty
that.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
So I'll be taking the Ravens to win on that. I think the Ravens are a better team here as well. My overperformer, I'm with you, Mama. I'm taking Derrick Henry again. I'm not gonna. Why wouldn't he be an overperformer? He was absolutely dominant in that last game. He's been dominant all year. Um, the Bills rushing defense is lackluster. They're the third worst rush defense in the playoffs. They're allowing 92.44 yards, running back rushing yards per game through the season. Another thing I really like is Derrick Henry in the snow and in the cold. Is actually one of the best playoff running backs in the history. In minimum 10 games, he is second in yards per game in cold games in the playoffs. I don't know exactly who's ahead of him, but it was some old heads on there. So Henry's used to playing playoff games in the snow. This is going to be a cold game as well. That read option that the Ravens have been running, I think, is a real problem in the NFL. So far, no team's been able to stop it. Lamar Jackson is seemingly picking and reading that right every single time as well. So if McDermott's going to try and stop the read option, he's got to attack it a different way than just leaving his edge rusher coming off unblocked. Even if it's Von Miller. I love Von Miller, but I don't think Von Miller is going to be able to stop either one of those two. I think Lamar's going to run right around him, or Henry's going to hit it right up the gut. I would not trust Von Miller to single-handedly stop the read option all game. He may get a couple, but I don't think that's going to be able to be stopped. I'm going to be taking I'll call it a halfway underperformer. I'm going to be taking Lamar Jackson to underperform in the passing game. I think he'll have a successful rushing game, but I'll be taking the under for the passing. So first, no Zay Jones or Zay Flowers. Big target of Lamar, the big splash play. Also, Lamar Jackson has 0 passing touchdowns on the road in the playoffs in his career. Never passed for a passing touchdown on the road. So I don't really see that changing today. Maybe it does. Maybe he gets one. Good. But I see him underperforming there. And I just don't see it really stacked against him. I think the Ravens are going to try and run the ball again. I don't think there's going to necessarily even need to be a lot of opportunity for Lamar to throw it. You know, if Lamar throws the ball, now let me rephrase this. I think if the Eagles or the Ravens lose today, it's because they didn't give their running backs enough carries. I think if either one of those teams lose, their coaches got away from a solid game plan, started throwing the ball. Even if their teams get down big in the first quarter, if either one of those guys have less than 20 carries, their offensive coordinator, their play caller failed. Both those guys need to have more than 20 carries today, and I'll say that if one of those two teams lose, the running backs probably didn't get 20 carries. I'm going to also be going with a little bit of a sleeper I'll throw out there. I'm going to throw out Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox is, for some reason, just Josh Allen's end zone, red zone target in the playoffs. Dawson Knox has played, I want to say it's 8 games in the postseason, and he has 6 touchdowns. And last week, Dawson Knox dropped a wide open touchdown right at the start of the game. So he potentially was 7 of 8 for touchdowns in the postseason. Josh Allen and him just have a good chemistry, and Josh Allen trusts him in the playoffs. So he'd be a sleeper. I would pick him maybe for a touchdown, kind of keep that trend going. And that's all I've got. Anything else from you, Mama?
Okay, so my score for the LA Eagles game is LA 24, Eagles 28. I think they'll try and make a game of that. And my score for the Baltimore Buffalo game is Baltimore 27, Buffalo 28. It's gonna come down. I I'm gonna need the paddles ready for this one. That's for sure. Like, I don't know. I just feel that this is gonna be a slugfest. And you're right. I think whoever runs the ball successfully, should win this game. Should win that game. But that's all. I gotta go make pasta fajoule. Love you, everybody. Have a great day. This is a good day for football.
Excellent day. All right, bye everyone. Thank you.